by privately placing Islamic bonds, the lender said on Monday, describing the deal as the first private placement of Sukuk by a United Arab Emirates financial institution. The issue, maturing in January 2019, was priced at the 3-month London interbank offered rate plus 160 basis points. It was the first senior, unsecured US dollar Sukuk issue by an Abu Dhabi entity since 2013, Al Hilal said. We aim to work towards raising funding for the medium term to enhance our funding profile and meet balance sheet growth targets, Chief Executive Khaled Abdullah Al-Khoury said in a statement. The issue was the second tranche of the bank's $2.5 billion notes program. In the first tranche, Al Hilal raised $500 million of 5-year debt in 2013. UAE companies in the real estate and construction industries have made private placements of Sukuk in the past several years. Abu Dhabi Financial Group, ADFG, and Bahrain's GFH Financial Group are jointly setting up an Islamic bank in Abu Dhabi's new financial free zone with initial capital of $100 million. Privately owned investment management firm ADFG and GFH have received preliminary approval to launch the bank at Abu Dhabi Global Market, ADGM, the second financial free zone in the United Arab Emirates after the Dubai International Financial Center, DIFC. It will be the first new bank set up at the recently launched ADGM, which has so far attracted Aberdeen Asset Management and Macquarie Capital to open offices. The bank will be opening very soon. It will be run as a commercial bank accepting offshore deposits and dealing in dollars, ADFG Chief Executive Jassim Al-Seddiqi told Reuters in an interview. He added ADFG plans to have its own presence in the financial free zone, declining to give further details. ADFG recently raised its stake to 11.74% in Islamic investment bank GFH from 10%, and Al-Seddiqi said the two firms were seeking other joint opportunities. ADFG is best known outside the Emirate for its £370 million, $541 million, purchase in December 2014 of New Scotland Yard, the former headquarters of London's Metropolitan Police, as well as developing luxury flats at a plot next to Buckingham Palace in the British capital. The firm, which has built up $3.5 billion of assets under management since it was set up in 2010, sees this figure doubling by the end of 2016 and trebling by 2020, according to Al-Seddiqi, as it pursues a number of new
The bonds and Sukuk market in Oman grew by 53.75% to reach $1.869 billion, $4.86 billion, in 2015 from $1.216 billion, $3.162 billion, in 2014. This was revealed by Abdullah bin Salim Al-Sami, Executive President of the Capital Market Authority, CMA, on the sidelines of the launch of Oman chapter of the Dubai-based Gulf Bond and Sukuk Association, GBSA, here. The CMA is continuously enhancing and putting in place the building blocks to ensure an effective and dynamic fixed income market in Oman. Some of our initiatives have begun to bear fruit, Al-Sami said. The Oman chapter of GBSA, consisting of key market players in Oman, will act as a resource for the Oman authorities to help grow the Oman market, he said. The launch of the Oman chapter was timed to follow the release of the new Sukuk regulation by the CMA for any Sukuk issuances and to support the growing interest among Oman companies to tap into capital market financing. An increasing number of companies are taking advantage of bonds and sukuk to diversify their financing source away from the traditional banking sector. The new sukuk regulation provides more certainty and improves the prospects for companies to raise funding from the capital market. The CMA fully supports this initiative taken by the market players, as a vibrant fixed-income market is essential to the development, financial stability and diversification of the regional economy, including Oman. This is also an integral part of the overall strategy of the CMA to enable the capital market to play its vital role as an alternative fundraising platform for companies in the economic development of Oman, Al-Sami said. This is in line with the GBSA's purpose to be the collective voice of the region's fixed-income industry and to promote the growth of the fixed-income market, while ensuring best practices, governed by the highest ethical and professional standards are in place. The event was attended by representatives of Oman's leading banks, investors, legal firms and private companies.
China's foreign trade fundamentals have not changed despite mounting downward pressures, according to a report issued on Tuesday by the Ministry of Commerce. Given tepid global demand and increasing trade frictions, China will continue to face a difficult situation regarding foreign trade this year. However, increased government support will help import-export businesses, the report said. Weak global demand and a slowing domestic economy have dealt a blow to foreign trade, which fell 7% year-on-year in 2015. Exports were down 1.8% and imports fell 13.2%. However, the report noted that foreign trade has improved in the past 2 months. Exports surged 18.7% year-on-year in March and 4.1% in April. The State Council, China's cabinet, has put forward a series of measures to pep up foreign trade, including stronger financial support for enterprises, more cross-border e-commerce pilots and bigger incentives to encourage companies to establish international marketing networks and their own brands.
Dubai-based ports operator DP World launched a 7-year $1.2 billion sukuk issue on Tuesday, a document from lead managers showed. The issue, structured to be compliant with rules allowing investors in the United States to participate, will price at 237.5 basis points over Med swaps, according to the document. This is significantly inside the initial pricing guidance of between 262.5 bits per second and 275 bits per second over the same benchmark given earlier in the day, indicating strong investor demand. The transaction will be used to fund the part repurchase of DP World's $1.5 billion sukuk, which is due to mature in 2017. For which preliminary results of a tender offer announced on Tuesday showed investor demand had significantly outstripped the firm's original plan to buy back half of the paper. After receiving requests to buy $1.11 billion of the 2017 sukuk, DP World said it would consider increasing the initial ceiling of up to $750 million to include all tendered offers, subject to the completion of the new financing. The new $1.2 billion sukuk would sufficiently cover this revised plan. The sukuk is being arranged by Citi, Deutsche Bank, Dubai Islamic Bank, HSBC, Barclays, Emirates NBD, First Gulf Bank, JP Morgan, National Bank of Abu Dhabi and Societe Generale. Dubai's maiden group has obtained 1 billion dirhams, $272 million, of Islam.
The Bahrain-based wholesale Islamic investment bank recently concluded its annual general meeting, AGM, for the fiscal year 2015 and appointed a new board of directors. During the meeting, shareholders of the bank were briefed on its 2015 results and its strategy and initiatives for 2016. Also present at the meeting were members of the board of directors, senior management of bank and representatives of regulatory bodies. The shareholders approved the board of directors' report on the bank's business activities, annual audited financial statements for 2015 as well as the Sharia Supervisory Board and corporate governance reports, among others. For fiscal year 2015, the bank reported $14.5 million loss attributable to shareholders, $14.70 for Q4 2015. Total revenue for 2015 was $25.6 million compared to $13.6 million for 2014, an increase of 88% over the last year, $11.5 million for Q4 2015 compared to $0.5 million for the same period in 2014. Operating profit before impairment charges rose to $11.3 million compared to $0.5 million in 2014, $6.3 million for Q4 2015 compared to an operating loss of $4.5 million for 2014. London Stock Exchange welcomes ICD, a member of the Islamic Development Bank Group, to open trading on London's markets and to mark the listing of its Mountain Programme, an inaugural $300 million 5-year sukuk on London Stock Exchange, LSE. ICD will use the proceeds of the sukuk to support investments in private sector projects in line with its mission to promote economic growth in its member countries through private sector development. In 2016, ICD has to date raised $850 million in long-term funds, or about 70% of its $1.2 billion funding program for the year. The Mountain Programme, which is a Wakala structure, will serve as ICD's main funding platform for regular issuance of sukuk. HSBC was the arranger for the Mountain Programme, and the syndicate group for the sukuk included 13 international and regional banks. Khaled Al-Aboudi, Chief Executive Officer of ICD, said, "We are delighted to have listed our Mountain Programme and sukuk on the London Stock Exchange. Given LSE and London's status as the largest international centre for debt issuance and trading, this listing gives ICD access to a large and diverse pool of fixed-income investors globally and supports the primary market execution and secondary market liquidity of its sukuk. Aside from marking a key milestone in our funding activity in the international capital market, the sukuk also supplements our role to promote Islamic finance in member countries." ICD was the lead advisor for Côte d'Ivoire's debut sukuk, and we are keen to replicate its success in other member countries. Islamic Development Bank has given its initial agreement to provide $3 billion in easy loans and grants to Iraq, helping the nation cope with a sharp decline in oil revenue, a central bank spokesman in Baghdad said Thursday in an email. The spokesman did not give further details. Iraq earlier this month agreed a $5.4 billion standby loan with the International Monetary Fund. Finance Minister Hoshiar Zebari, announcing the agreement on May 19, said the IMF loans could unlock $15 billion more in international assistance over the next 3 years. Iraq's economy has been hit by the plunge in oil prices since mid-2014, and the country is expected to have a financing gap of $17 billion this year unless it can secure more funding, an IMF document obtained by Reuters showed. The cost of fighting Islamic State militants is another burden on the budget. The International Islamic Financial Market (IIFM) launched standard templates on Monday for Sharia-compliant foreign exchange forwards, the latest effort by the industry body to improve hedging practices in the sector. Islamic finance is expanding beyond its core centers in the Gulf and Southeast Asia, prompting the need for more cost-effective tools to manage foreign currency risks. The Bahrain-based IFM, a non-profit organization which develops specifications for Islamic finance contracts, outlined 2 templates to accommodate the main industry practices, although it expects one of them to eventually gain more favor. The standards involve use of either 1 or 2 unilateral promises, known as WAD, which are committed separately by each counterparty, with the latter providing greater credit security. Based on market requirement and feedback, our assessment is that the use of 2 unilateral WAD structure will increase, Chief Executive Ijal Ahmed Alvi said. Certain other FX products can now be explored under 2 unilateral WAD concept, which IF may look into in the future. There are several hedging tools used in Islamic finance, The British government is keen to collaborate further with Malaysia in the areas of Islamic finance, considering Malaysia's position as both pioneer and leader in this sphere. Speaking on behalf of the British government, we are very excited to continue working with Malaysia, which is not only a pioneer but also the reigning leader in Islamic finance, said Deputy British High Commissioner Paul Rennie. In fact, we are to work with Malaysia to explore the Islamic finance industry further, he said. Rennie had earlier officiated the one-day inaugural Islamic Finance in August 2016, which aims to highlight